Thank you very much for attending this keynote. Thank you for the invitation to be keynote, and the team that prepared this work was composed by Daniela Neves. That is, we are all Portuguese. We are all from Lisbon and Leiria universities and polytechnics. So the names are Daniela Neves, Teresa Morgado, João Neves, Mário Pereira, Manuel Pereira, and Susana Lampreia. Thank you. So, the presentation framework, I will start with the background and objectives, then I will make a short, a brief state of art. I will describe the experimental procedure, followed by the results and discuss, and the end, the conclusions. Sorry. So, traditional and additive process produce intrinsic manufacturing defects. We can optimize the best we can the parameters to have few defects, but we have defects, and we have to know that the components will have intrinsic manufacturing defects. Okay. So these intrinsic manufacturing defects influence the structural integrity of mechanical components. So the discussion is what is the percentage of intrinsic manufacturing defects to consider a bad, good, or excellent quality? Okay, of course, and we know this by the traditional manufacturing. From each kind of industry, we have established the control quality for these defects. So, but for additive manufacturing defects, I didn't find anything. So, how the percentage of intrinsic defects influence the fatigue behavior? We know that they exist, and we have to understand how these influence the fatigue behavior. So the objective of this work is investigate the influence of the different selective laser melting processing parameters, and I will focus in the powder recycle cycles on defect generation and their impact on fatigue behavior. And the material that I study here is titanium 6 aluminum for vanadium. So, as we know, in this process, high intensity layer melts thin layers of metal powder, creating a part layer by layer. So, the advantage of this technology is the near net shape production. That means if we are always talking about sustainability, the manufacturing sustainability. So, these are the advantages: minimize the need for extensive machining, saving time and research. High precision ensure exceptional occurrence with an enhanced product reliability and performance, and the recycled powder significantly reduce the waste and promote sustainability practices in manufacturing. So, the limitations. The limitation is restrict material choice, and some alloys are difficult to process due to cracking and oxidation. Powders must have a specific particle size, shape, and flowability. Recycled powders can degrade quality. Then another kind of limitation is the high thermal gradients during the rapid melting and solidification cause crackings, thermal distortion, shrinkage, and power spreading imperfection. Then we have another problem when we are manufacturing, that is the fine powder trap in the internal channels are difficult to extract. The powders are expensive and machines require inert atmosphere. Of course, there are more limitations and there are more advantages, but these are the principles that I want to focus here. So, defects create, all of us know that defects create stress concentration zones, which can lead to fatigue crack initiation. So we have to study these defects. Despite strict process control, common defects include porosity, surface ruggedness, crack, auto or cold crack, and residual stress. And of course, we already know how to trying to control the SLM parameters to mitigate the SLM manufacturing defects. So for gas porosity, we can maintain an inert and controlled atmosphere, use high quality, low oxygen, and pre-processes power. For K-node porosity, we can optimize the laser power, and the lack of ocean porosity, the laser energy must be sufficient, the scan of the layers must be optimized. And you say, okay, we have this, but we don't have a receipt to make it. So it's empirical, you have to understand, you have to try it, we have to optimize these parameters. You know, you don't have a receipt. And okay. The surface ruggedness and bailing. So in this to mitigate this kind of manufacturing defects, we must, for bailing effects, we can optimize the scan speed and laser power and pre-width the build plate. For the surface ruggedness, we can reduce the layer thickness and optimize and optimize recover blade parameters. From the cracks, the hot cracks, you must pre-width the substrate, select materials with good weldability and lower solidification shrinkage. And for the cold crack, you can optimize the scan strategies and implement stress relief heat treatment after printing. So notice, you can manufacture very complex shapes. So for each shapes, you have kind of a receipt to make your components. For residual stress, you can prevent that with pre-heat the build plates, optimize scan strategies to balance residual stress, ensuring gradual cooling after manufacturing, and apply stress relief and healing post-process. So I will pass for the example that we make for this presentation. So we choose the titanium 6 aluminum for vanadium grade 23, and the properties of the powders are in the second table. We produce some specimens using the ASTM A8 geometric dimensions. There is the recipient for the powders, but they are gray, and the recipient is gray, so we can see nothing. So we produce these specimens with the throw printer equipment, and we produce 3 batches. Here is the film that we can see the scan for powders and the laser doing the building of layers. So the position for these layers is very important. Sometimes we have to put in some degrees inclination to have a flux of wet difference. So, but for this we make in vertical. Here are the edge vector and border manufacturing parameters, and in the right for the 3 batch, and in the right you can see the border, the falling border, and the watch vector. And in the up figure, we can see the up skin, in skin, down skin. So these all parameters was maintained for the three batches. Here are the manufacturing conditions. So the parameters here are the oxygen level, inert gas, humidity, temperature inside the chamber, etc. And we use for the three batch, three different conditions. The condition was the batch 1 only use new powders. The batch 2 use two sieving recycled powders, and the batch 3 used 3 sieving recycled powders. Okay, and all the parameters were the same because it's too much parameters together. We can okay. So we provide Vickers hardness and ruggedness testing. So here we can see the equipments for Vickers hardness tests and for the ruggedness test, and you measurement in the ruggedness test the arithmetical mean ruggedness and the total height for the profile. Here we can see the tensile and fatigue test equipment. So we use a universal testing machine with a capacity of 100 kilonewtons. The temperature was the room temperature. And for fatigue test, we use the stress ratio of 0 and a frequency of 10. The tests were performed until complete failure or the specimens or after 1 million cycles of load application. For the manufacturing defects study, we use the optical microscope and the scanning electron microscope that are in the figures. So the data acquisition for nanotomography was performed using the Bruker SkyScan, and this is also complex. After the acquisition of the images, radiographs, they were processed using NRECO construction software and convert into slices of the samples under study. The CT Vox visualization program allows simultaneous viewing and trace of the entire set of slides, enabled capture of the external and internal image of the object. Then, using the CTAN analysis software, the images were segmented, binarized to separate all identifiable pores and eliminate some artifacts. Although many pores are visible in the outermost region of the specimens, the most relevant quantitative analysis is focused on a more restricted inner volume defined based on the size of the initial samples. So the 2D, 2 dimensions and 3 dimension calculation routine was provided also with the Bruker. These are the, in the table, we present the specification of the equipment, nanotomograph equipment. And then we go to the results and discuss. So in this table, we measure the Vickers micro hardness, and we obtain about 500 hard Vickers 0.3. That is higher than values reported in the literature. The height hardness of the as-built samples is attributed to the martensite alpha, a line structure that can be observed in the microstructure. For the surface ruggedness, what you find that was an increase of the RIAR and RT with the recycled powders. As I said in the below the table, as the proportional of recycled powder increase, the surface became rugged and less uniform, with higher RR variable and a clear rise of RT values. Here we present the tensile test results and fatigue limit for a number of cycles. The criteria was a million of cycles, as I said. And you can notice that fatigue limit was about 110 megapascal. So here we have the optical observation, and as we can see, the micrograph is not very needed here, but the micrograph of titanium of this alloy produced by the selective laser melting reveal alpha and beta phases with a typical acicular alpha line martensite structure. All samples exhibit porosities and lack of fusion defects, and the batch 1 presents the lower porosity. To remember, the batch 1 was only with the new powders, with small and mostly spherical gas power, suggesting more stable processing conditions. Here was the SEM analysis, where we can observe unmelted powder and entrapped gas powder for the batch 1 and batch 2. Here is in the batch 3, we can observe also more unmelted powder entrapped gas powers. And what you can say is in batch 1 was virgin power, present lowest porosity. Batch 2, that have 23% of twice sealed powder, shows fewer defects of batch 3, but more than batch 1, and batch 3 that have 24% of 3 times sieved powder exhibit the highest defect content. Here is the fracture surface with characteristic dimples that prove evidence the ductile fracture. Here we can observe the rogue fracture surface with intergranular features. We cannot see the square that I put there. Ductile fractures with micro-void coefficients and brittle fracture with microclips detect. From the 3D defect study, many manufacturing defects were observed in the batch 2 and 3. Knowing the sample volume, the defect volume, and the corresponding defect percentage is essential for quality control. So if we see in the tomography image that have all the treatment, we can see many pores and defects, okay? But if you see in the last column of this table, we see that percentage of defects in the volume samples are about, in the batch 2, about less than 1%. And batch 3, more or less 2.5%. So this is the important, okay? Because sometimes, so many. So, as conclusion, optical microscopy, scan electronic microscope, and nanotomography we must use all together to characterize the material, reveal defects in all batch, including gas porosity, lack of fusion, and melt powders. Nevertheless, batch maintains a relatively low defects volume fraction, and this is the important. Surface ruggedness increased with the proportion of recycled powders, as many authors have concluded also. The corresponding defects percentage in volumes is essential for reliable analysis and establish the quality control of the manufacturing process. For a defect volume fraction lower than 3%, the fatigue limit percentage present a value of 110 megapascal for the criteria. What I'm observing when I read some papers, the authors forgot to say the criteria for failure and forgot to say how many defects the material was. And this is important because the values are very different. Okay? So these are the reference. These are the acknowledgements to our university and our grants. And here are the authors with the emails if you need to contact us. Thank you very much for attending this keynote.